All right, today we're jumping into a really powerful structural idea from the Qur'an. It's this concept of two fundamental paths for human life, one that leads to total collapse, and another that's all about growth.
So what if you thought about your life like an operating system? I mean, the source material we're digging into today lays it out like this. The Quran isn't just about a series of moral tests. It's about a choice between two fundamental operating systems. And the one you choose basically determines your entire trajectory.
So, on one hand, you've got this closed loop. It's driven entirely by the self. And you know what? It always collapses inward. But on the other hand, there's this open system. It's specifically designed to receive guidance from the outside. And it's built for one thing: constant growth. Now, that force, the one driving that collapsing loop, it has a name: Hawa. You can think of it as self-directed desire. It's that moment when our own impulses, our own whims, basically become our God. They're the only guide, the only authority we listen to. And the engine for that other system, the growth system, that's called amana, or entrusted responsibility. It's the polar opposite of self-direction. It's all about accepting and, crucially, acting on guidance that comes from a source way beyond yourself. We're talking about revelation. Okay, so let's really break down this first system, the loop of desire. We're going to see how a life that's run by Hawa, well, it's structurally almost like a mathematical formula, just seals itself completely shut from any chance of growth. And it happens in this really clear four-step process. First, personal desire completely takes over and replaces any trust in outside guidance. As soon as that happens, boom, all new input is blocked. Then, the self is just left echoing its own impulses, right? It's just lost in its own noise. And the final step? Your own actions literally become the source of your punishment. And this is what's so wild. The way this source material shows the end point is just fascinating. The punishment isn't some external thing coming to get you. No, it's described as a rope woven from a person's own deeds. The system literally eats itself. It becomes its own punishment.
So the big question is, are you just stuck in this loop forever? Is it a permanent thing? Well, the source material is really clear on this. Absolutely not. There's a powerful way to hit a complete system reset.
See, this collapsing cycle can be stopped, but it has to be before it seals completely shut. And here's the catch. It requires an input from outside the self. Think about that. The self can't fix the self. That external input, it comes as either confession or revelation. Just look at the story of Adam. His whole cycle of error, it wasn't reset because he denied it or tried to justify himself. Nope. It only happened when he received words from his Lord. He learned a new boundary, a new constraint, and just like that, the loop was broken. Or take the wife of El-Aziz in the story of Yosef. For a long time, she's projecting, deceiving, but the moment she finally confesses, "I sought to seduce him," everything changes. That whole loop of deceit becomes visible, and its power to harden and destroy is stopped dead in its tracks. And we see this exact same principle with Yunus. You might know him as Jonah. I mean, think about it. He's literally inside layers of darkness. And in that moment, his confession, his admission that he was wrong, it prized the system back open just moments before it was about to seal for good. And his prayer? It's literally the perfect blueprint for a system reset. It does two critical things. First, it acknowledges a power higher than the self. Second, it admits its own fault. That 1-2 punch just shatters the self-referential loop. It breaks it wide open. Okay, so now let's flip the script and see how all this builds into the alternative, that open system of growth. This is the path of Amana. This is where life, instead of collapsing in on itself, grows outward, kind of like a tree reaching for the sun. Now, to explain this, the source material uses this really cool analogy from physics, so stick with me here. It says to think of revelation as a light caustic. That's a timeless, organizing truth that makes growth possible. On the flip side, desire is a sound caustic, a temporary, reactive force that causes collapse. And us, we live right in the middle, in the buffer zone, the place where we have to choose which system to run. And you can see the system playing out perfectly with 3 incredible women who chose trust over their own natural gut reactions. I mean, each one was under immense pressure. But by aligning with that external guidance, that light caustic we just talked about, they were not only preserved, but their situations were completely turned around. So this all leads to a really crucial point.
The source material points to a single, decisive command that acts like a master key, a key that locks in the growth system for good and permanently overrides that collapsing loop of desire.
Yeah, this command is basically presented as the ultimate antidote. It's that critical moment where self-directed desire is kicked to the curb and revelation fully takes over as the new operating system. So what is it? Here it is. The command given to Yahya, who you might know as John the Baptist, is to hold the book with strength. Think about that. It is the absolute explicit opposite of Hawa. It signals the end of all that self-centered looping and the start of real, irreversible growth. So, what we're seeing is that this choice, this decision between two operating systems, it leads to two totally different final outcomes. And the source material couldn't be clearer. The path you choose literally determines your final state of being. You know, on the day when our own bodies testify against us, those who spent their lives exhausted in those self-loops, they're going to find that their deeds have become that very rope of fire. But those who accepted guidance, their deeds will have become a source of continuous upward growth. So this is the sealed law that the source presents. It's simple, really. Desire loops and burns. Revelation opens and grows. One path is like a collapsing telomere, just shortening with every single cycle. The other, it's like a tree, always growing, always returning home. And so this whole analysis leaves us with a really provocative question, right? It's a challenge that takes this entire structural breakdown and turns it into a deeply personal choice. The system is defined, the command is crystal clear. So the final takeaway is this. The choice of which operating system to run, well, that's entirely up to you.